If you've been listening to this series, you've probably started to see a pattern. It's that at a certain level in your business, the way your messaging is set up starts to matter a lot more. And for a while, you can keep adjusting it on your own. You can tweak things. You can rewrite sections of your website, of your sales pages and your offer pages. And you can also try to make it clearer. But eventually that stops being the most effective way to move your business forward, and it actually starts to hold your business back. Welcome to Seven Figure Copy, the show where we refine your messaging so it reflects the level you're now operating at with clarity and confidence. I'm Gina Whitehouse, your expert conversion copywriter, and this podcast is for established, expert-led female business owners who know their work is exceptional but suspect their website and sales copy may be underselling the caliber of what they deliver. In each episode, we'll explore how strategic, ethical copy elevates your website, sales pages, and core messaging so your words communicate trust before someone ever books a consult or starts a conversation with you. If you're ready for a trusted partner who helps you clearly articulate what you do and why it matters, then you're in the right place. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for this last episode of Season 3. My name is Gina Whitehouse. I'm your expert conversion copywriter, messaging strategist, and host of the Seven Figure Copy podcast. If you've been listening through this 6-part series, you now have a very different understanding of how messaging works at the level your business is at now. And if you haven't listened to the previous episodes, they start at episode 51, and that is part 1. And then we go through part 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is part 6. So before we dive into this final episode, I want to make sure that you grab the private podcast episode titled What I Notice Immediately When I Look at a High-Level Business's Messaging That I Don't Say Publicly. Because once you listen to this, you're going to see where everything starts to come together, and you can grab it in the show notes or go directly to www.whitehousesm.com/private podcast. If you've listened to this series from the beginning, part 1, episode 51, you're probably starting to realize now that a shift needs to happen. It's the fact that the way you've been approaching your messaging, it needs to change. And what is that change? The change is that it needs to move from something you manage on your own to something you approach more strategically now. Let me say that again, the word strategically. And what I mean by that is that there's usually a point where bringing in an expert conversion copywriter and messaging partner starts to make sense for you as a business owner where your business is at now. Because at this point, spending your own time rewriting copy when that foundational messaging that your business is built on has shifted, it's now creating problems for you. So you need an expert to come and fix this foundational messaging. It's almost like we are re-pouring the concrete of the foundation of your house because we want it to be strong enough now to gird up and support the copy that's going to be recalibrated to where your business is now, that is going to sell your offers so much easier. And before we move on, I want to be clear about this. This isn't about outsourcing a task, and it's not about having someone come in and rewriting your website, because if that's all it is, it usually doesn't actually solve the problem long term. What actually changes is how your messaging is thought through, structured, and communicated from the beginning when you bring someone like me in as your expert conversion copywriter and messaging strategist. So what does it look like to actually have a strategic copy partner? It looks like having someone step into your business and see what you can't see from the inside, right? This whole season, I've been talking about how we're so inside our business, like we're inside the jar, right? And we can't read the label from the outside. So it's so helpful at a point to have someone come in and help you see what you can't see yourself, right? Someone who can look at your messaging and immediately identify where things feel unclear, where you're attracting the wrong people, or where possibly people are stopping on your website or your sales page and they're clicking away. They're going to another page, right? It's good to have someone come in and identify where your positioning doesn't fully match the level you're operating at or the caliber of your expertise. It also looks like having someone ask better questions, Not just what do I say, but what does your buyer actually need to see to make a decision? And it also looks like having your messaging built on something more solid, not guesses and not assumptions, okay, but real insights into how your audience is thinking. If you've ever thought, my business has evolved, but my website still feels pieced together, or my expertise is strong, but my messaging doesn't reflect the level I operate at, I want you to know right now that you're not alone. Every established business owner reaches this point where your growth just outpaces your message. And when your message doesn't match the offer or the service you provide now, it costs you credibility, clarity, and premium opportunities. So I'm here today to tell you that I want to help you go from second guessing how you're presenting your offers and expertise to showing up online with messaging that feels cohesive and aligned with the caliber of your work. Today, I'm inviting you to book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat with me to determine whether you need a strategic copy audit or high converting done for you copy that finally reflects the level you're operating at. Go to the show notes today to book your call or visit www.whitehousesm.com. And here's what happens when all of that is in place. There are 8 things that change that start to feel different in your business. All right, are you ready for them? Here they are. First, your messaging feels clearer. It feels clear to you and it feels clear to the person who's going to land on your marketing materials. They're going to see themselves in it. Okay, second, your offers feel easier to talk about. You're not going to find yourself fumbling over what to say depending on who the person is who comes to you, right? Again, your message is going to feel clear and it's going to make sense to them. Number 3, the right people, the people that you want, those ideal clients and customers, are going to start to recognize themselves in your work more quickly. Number 4, your sales process isn't going to feel as difficult. In fact, it's going to feel lighter and it's going to feel so much easier. Why? Because when people come to you, they're already going to understand your offer. They're already going to understand and know if they want it or not, which brings me to number 5, which is that you're not going to be explaining yourself as much in the sales process. Again, why? Because when people land on your pages and they read your copy, their objections and their hesitations are going to already be answered. They're going to understand what you're offering. They're going to understand if you actually understand them. They're going to think, wow, how did she get in my head? So by the time they come to you, you're not going to have to explain as much. You're not going to have to answer as many questions. Again, the sales process is just not going to feel as difficult as it has been for you up to this moment. Number 6, you're not going to adjust your message depending on who you're talking to. Look, I've been there. Even in the beginning of my business, someone would come up to me and say, what do you do? And a whole different person would come up to me from a different sphere of influence or circle of friends or business. And I would fumble over explaining what I do because I'd be thinking, how does it make the most sense to this person or that person? But no, eventually I was able to dial down exactly what I do and explain it clearly. 7, the yeses are going to start becoming more consistent for you. Now, how wonderful would that feel? I know it would feel great because I've seen it happen in my business, and what I have, I want for you. And 8, your copy and the messaging you put out there is just going to become more effective. So this is the part that I think is important to understand. This isn't just a tactical decision. It's a leadership decision in your business because at the level you're at now, you are not just building your business, you're refining how it operates. And your messaging is a core part of that. So choosing to bring someone in isn't about needing help, okay? It's really about recognizing where your time and attention are best spent and where having the right partner makes everything else work better. So if you've listened to this series and thought, this is exactly where I am, Gina, that's usually where the conversation starts. Not jumping straight into rewriting everything. I want you to understand that. That is not our first step, but it's stepping back and looking at what's actually happening in your business right now and where things feel harder than they should and where your messaging might not be fully aligned with the level you're operating at and the caliber of your expertise and what you offer. So if this is where you are right now, the next step is just a conversation. You can book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat with me, and we'll look at your current sales process. We'll look at your messaging and where things might be breaking down. And then from there, we can see what it would look like to partner together to really bring your messaging up to the level your business is already operating at right now. To book that call with me, all you need to do is to go to the show notes, click on the link, find a time in my calendar that fits with yours, or you can go to my website, www.whitehousesm.com/, and you'll see the button at the top right corner where you can book a time in my calendar so we can get together and chat. So that's a wrap on this series and season 3. I hope you've really enjoyed following along. I hope that I've answered a lot of questions for you. And I hope that you can see the value of what it's like to bring a strategic partner into your business, to get your messaging and your copy recalibrated at the place that you are at right now. I know that you're working at a higher level. I know that you have so many awesome offers that you want to get out there that are going to help so many people. So let's make sure that your messaging and copy reflect that so we can get more people to say yes. Thank you so much for spending time with me today on this episode of 7-Figure Copy. If this conversation resonated and you know that your messaging, that your copy is not matching the caliber of the wonderful work that you do, then please reach out to me at whitehousesm.com to book a 30-minute complimentary copy chat. Let's see if we're the right fit for each other and if I'm the right conversion copywriter for you. And I'll see you next time.
This podcast is produced, mixed, and edited by Cardinal Studio. For more information about how to start your own podcast, please visit www.cardinalstudio.co or email Mike at mike@cardinalstudio.co. You can also find the details in the show notes.